Okay, so we're live, are we?
We are live.
We're live.
Wow. Okay. Is anybody there?
It's two people.
Hey, two people.
Okay. Hello, two people. Just a little behind the scenes heads up. We've just had a hell of a time trying to get this set up. I can't get a logo behind me for some reason, so I'm looking a little bit odd in the corner here. So excuse that.
It's not unusual though, is it? You've opted for spiders and creepy dolls instead of just the team logo. We'll forgive you.
Well, because I've got a busy background, it just didn't work. And then I tried it in my other office and it didn't work as well. So
apparently we've now got 6 people.
Thanks for everybody for.
At least you guys look good.
Yeah,
it's
the main thing, eh?
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining. As you can see, this is just a brief, well, not a brief, hopefully it goes on for a long time, a Q&A for Paranormal New Zealand. We are still Haunted Auckland as well, but we've done a little bit of rebranding to Paranormal New Zealand. So if you'd like, we're here to answer your questions. You can just type it in the chat. And
can I just elaborate, Sam? I'll just clarify a little bit on the name change. I thought I'd tell a story about that a little bit if I could. Basically, what we did when we first started Haunted Auckland, we never figured that we would become popular and widely known. We figured we would just be a little team of enthusiasts that would head out and check out the odd haunted location from time to time. So it was more of a hobby thing. So we never thought it would reach this kind of level, and we never thought we'd be traveling the whole country or being invited to travel the whole country to look at locations, historical locations all over the country and worldwide as well. So we've kind of grown, I guess, as a team, and it's become a little bit bigger than what we envisaged right at the beginning. So yeah, we decided to do a bit of a change. A couple of years back, we decided to do a bit of a change, and Paranormal sort of covers more area to what we do. We don't just do the haunted ghost side of it. So the Paranormal covers more area. And well, New Zealand, we cover the whole of New Zealand and beyond. So it's more accurate now to what we are as a team, I think. Hence the name change. So it was time for a bit of a rebirth, bit of a revamp, I think. The logo looks good though. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, logo looks awesome.
Just wait till the t-shirts come out.
They'll be just as good. I'm sure of it. So I'll go ahead and read one of the questions that we've got here, and it looks like it's from a Youssef. It says, "Do you know what jinn are?" And that's
jinn.
J-I-N-N.
Yes.
Yeah. I have a brief understanding, and that's in some cultures that it's a demon-like entity, often derived from genies and things like that as well, where it's the 3 wishes. But yeah, I think under a general understanding, it is very much linked to what we believe to be demons and thus forth. Anyone else want to elaborate on what I just said, or? No.
Yeah. I think jinn were one of the first characters that they dealt with on the Supernatural show. I think that was probably the first thing that I really knew about it, other than Aladdin and things like that. But the things I do know, they're kind of quite territorial, I think, and they can actually be linked to specific areas, specific people, things like that as well. So they're often quite aggressive, that kind of thing. And quite often I find when there are things online where people are saying, oh, this could be a demonic possession, a lot of people will say, actually, no, I think it's a jinn. And so they sort of cross over quite a lot, and it's sort of the cultural mythology of it. But it's fascinating. It's one of those things that I think, particularly in Western culture, we don't really discuss very much at all. You sort of jump straight to your Christian beliefs more than anything, I think. So, yeah.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Good answer, yeah.
So we've got a question from Kelly as well, and it is to ask people what experiments they want us to try on investigations.
We need some ideas. it's always very difficult to come up with ideas, fresh ideas as well, during investigations. So if anyone's got any ideas, we could do with some fresh ones.
Yep. We've also got a question from our friends at Phantom Seekers Paranormal, and they ask, do you find cultural differences in the type of hauntings across the globe?
That'll be my friend Eileen. Hello. Well, no, it's everywhere around the world. It's just different. The folklore is different. The beliefs are different. The cultures are different. It's a very mixed bag. This planet we live on. It's so fascinating to sort of travel around and meet these people and listen to the different stories coming from each different village. Even a lot of these stories are village specific or even just town specific. They're not just country specific. That's quite fascinating. It's a worldwide thing, and yeah, a lot of the time you have to sort of talk to the locals to actually hear these stories. It's quite fascinating. Yeah, forgot what the question was now, but
yeah, I think in terms of cultural differences, it's more to do with the spiritual beliefs. It's in particular when you come to Maori and their cultural beliefs as well. I think it's vastly different to just the Western beliefs as well. The New Zealand Pākehā beliefs, because we're quite head first into the spiritual thing as a team as well. But I think different, especially Pacific Island, Maori, Polynesian, that sort of thing. They're very spiritual and they are very respectful as well. Not to say that we aren't respectful, but it's a different sort of way of looking at the spiritual beliefs.
I mean, I think thinking, culturally and things like that. I mean, I grew up in the UK, and I mean, just traveling around the United Kingdom, when you're going into places, and Mark will have found this, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, etc., you're going to get a lot more people talking about fairies and imps and all this sort of stuff there, which is all tied quite intrinsically into the culture and the history and that sort of stuff as well. Whereas there's less of that in New Zealand, I think, and in some other countries as well. So every sort of culture and country's got its own little niche, I suppose, on things, and it's how you approach and read up on it, because I just think there's so many things out there that are paranormal.
I think
we do have fairies in New Zealand, by the way.
Oh yeah, I know, but I'm just sort of like, you can travel from town to town in certain places, and it's just like, that's the fairy circle, that's the fairy this, it's much more widespread, I think. Yeah,
like Bigfoot.
Oh yes,
yeah, like Bigfoot.
You like Bigfoot.
Natasha likes to discuss Bigfoot because I don't believe in Bigfoot, so I know, I've said it.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I'm outed. I'm
With
out
all
of the
that
team,
evidence.
that's it.
She's banned. Future
Well,
lives.
That's actually quite a good segue into an article that I was just searching in regards to something to talk to as well, and that was relating to sightings of Bigfoot, and especially earlier on sightings of Bigfoot. And now scientists are saying that, of course, it goes back to the upright walking bear theory, and that the earlier sightings were related to people not having access to spectacles or glasses, and that vision was impaired, and that all they were just bears walking. What do you guys reckon?
Well, Phantom Seekers Paranormal have said that Bigfoot is Mark in fancy dress. So
I'd believe it.
Damn it!
He's
That was
very
our little
busy.
secret, Eileen.
Like
That was our secret.
between the Yowies and the Yetis and the Bigfoots and the skunk apes and the Moihau man, you're very busy. You must be like Santa, to zip around everywhere.
Is that Mark in fancy
I get
dress
around.
or various
I get around.
states of undress?
I don't know. I cannot comment.
Probably
All right.
best not to comment.
Hey, if it feels good, do it, eh?
We've got a question from Sam. What would be on your wish list if you could get any type of equipment for investigations? I can answer that. I'm really keen to get one of those tripwires with loads of REM pods along it after getting to play with one with Anne and Renata. Yeah, that's probably top of my list just to mess with and play with at the moment. What about you, Mark? You're the gadget guy. What would you get?
I don't really know. I don't think I have a gadget. I mean, the gadgets that I would like to get don't exist. And of course, it would be a camera that films ghosts. That could see into the spectrum for whatever ghosts are living in. So yeah, I mean, the gadget I want is in my dreams and doesn't exist yet. One day.
Ghost traps, something that we could easily slide out and opens up, and then the ghost flies in, catches it, and then we can put it on display.
Have you not seen the Tennessee Wraith Chasers? Have you not seen the Tennessee Wraith Chasers and their redneck bush-hacked traps for ghosts?
That'll work.
They're pretty odd. Very odd looking things.
I think also, I mean, it'd be amazing if someone actually did create something that was a decent all-in-one device that actually worked. That would be really nice. Just,
but to do that, you need to figure out what ghosts are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one step at a time.
Just, I mean, we'll just work it out eventually. All right. Tied into that, Bronwyn has said, have you guys designed and built a gadget or designed anything yet?
Yes, we've had a few gadgets made. I built a few about a decade ago now, little magnetic pumps, very basic, just spinning magnet type pumps. I've got a few of those here. And I did sort of create my own little tools for the trade back when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, with lots of magnets and frames and things. And we do have contacts. We have a guy, Craig, over in Australia that makes gadgets for us here from Western Australia, WD Para product. And he has some brilliant gadgets. I totally recommend him. In fact, he has the best illuminators that you can get out on the market. So if you want illuminators, go see WD Para product. There you go, Craig.
Free plug.
Yeah.
I think we were talking just the other day as well, weren't we, about Faraday cages and maybe thinking about trying to put something together and the pros and cons and all that kind of stuff. Looking at some of those things, and of course Natasha's hacked a few radio things, haven't you, to make us some little experimental spirit boxes just to kind of prove our thoughts on those more than anything. Yeah,
they're pretty basic.
Yeah but I think it would be cool to keep experimenting with stuff when we've got time.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got a busy year ahead of us. I mean, it's been quite crazy actually this year. I have to say, I thought that this year was going to be a little bit quieter than last year, because last year we were quite flat out busy. This year's been quite crazy so far, and it started with a bit of a bang, and it's actually going along really well. And we're getting contacted by location owners and management and historical places to come and visit. So we've got a lot of road tripping around the country. We're also going to be going overseas for a bit. We won't say too much about that, but I mean, I know I'm going back over to the UK. Amy's going to the UK. We're going to be doing a bit of a team jaunt over to the Australia for a few investigations there, and up and down the country, a bit of road tripping. So it's it was there 50, 54, 52, was it 54 weeks in a year? So 54 weekends in a year. So work it out. It doesn't leave a lot of space. So it's going to be a busy year for us.
It's going to be a good year, though. It's going to be really great. Getting to go back to some places that we've wanted to go back to for a while, getting to go to our favourite places, and a whole lot of new places.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's great. We've got some good things lined up.
Well, that kind of ties in. Yeah. Kim asked earlier, what has been your most memorable place to investigate and why? What do you reckon, Sam? What would be your most memorable place?
look, when people ask me that sort of question, thinking back to the last year that we've had, the one that usually sticks out of my mind is Massey Homestead, and the types of activity that we had there. That strikes me, and there was quite an interesting one with the communication and the touch lights going on and off. I really enjoyed that, and there was quite a lot to be investigated there, I think. Videos on YouTube.
What about you, Tash?
I'd say Norfolk Island. Just going there on the paranormal tours and things. They're really, really cool. Local group. They take you around. They've got lots of knowledge. And all these places are open 24/7. So you can literally walk into an old house that was built in like the 1800s, and they don't lock anything up. They don't even lock their cars up there because everyone's on this tiny little island. But yeah, there's heaps to do on that island. We still have things that we need to do on there. We'll probably have to go back and maybe could work with the team, the Hokamilish.
Yep.
I think it's the name of their team. And they do all they do tours there, and they take you around, and you can explore at your own leisure all these places at nighttime, which is incredibly cool.
Mine's probably, it's a bit of a cliche, but it's probably at the moment King Seat. Just because it's one of those places that I've spent like the last 15 years driving past all the time, and it always interested me. So actually to get in there and get into places that other people don't and experience King Seat and get it's not many people can say, oh yeah, I've slept in King Seat, that kind of thing. So that would probably be my place at the moment. Who knows, by the end of this year could be something completely different, all the stuff we've got planned. Right. Tied into that, we've got a question from Tyrone asking about our favorite South Island spot. Because you were down there, weren't you, last year, Mark and Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've been doing some. We're doing a bit of an ongoing one with the Globe Theatre. It's quite an interesting one there. We've got pretty much unlimited access thanks to the tech guy Brian down there. That's an interesting place. Some interesting stories. We haven't captured too much there, but the stories are interesting enough to want to go back. Larnac Castle is always intriguing, but you can only do so much in the way of investigation there. I don't know. Well, I'm just trying to think of the places we went to.
The Backpackers.
The Chalet Backpackers.
Yeah.
Big place. It's a big place with some great stories, but of course it's a multi-level backpackers hostel, so the chances of investigating when there's nobody there are going to be very, very slim, and you need to sort of have nobody there for it to be a more controlled sort of environment, and I can't see that happening there. But management are fantastic, and they give us unlimited access, and we can go back anytime, so bloody great, really awesome.
But I think that the South Island, there's still plenty to explore down there that we yet to even know about. So it's a bit of an untapped source at the moment.
Yeah, we're going back in, when was it, Sam?
July, I think you had.
June, I think.
July?
King's birthday, was it?
Yeah, we've got it. That's the one. Yeah, King's birthday. Yeah. We've got a place lined up there, and we'll be doing an investigation with another researcher down there. Looking forward to that one. It's a very cool place. That'll be an overnighter as well. So we do like a good overnight stay.
Absolutely.
Have a look. Oh, here's one for you, Tash. Has anyone ever followed you home other than me?
Yeah, Amy is kind of difficult to get rid of after investigations, but we drop her home and tell her to go to bed.
Just a bit of smudging will do it.
Yeah, Kelly just comes out and rubs burning sage in her face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
Be
does.
gone, stop coming to my house.
Yeah, get out. You don't live here. No, I don't think anything's followed me home, but we had stuff following us around Norfolk Island at one stage, which was interesting. I wasn't too bothered, but you and Tess were quite, oh my gosh, about it.
Well, it seemed so. On Norfolk Island, one evening we went to the what's called the new jail, which is still a very old jail, and it's a ruin. And we were out there, the three of us, and we were getting some communication, which was quite aggressive, very masculine. That kind of, when you see like those TV shows where you've got the young boys and they go into prison and all the current prisoners are trying to get in their face and intimidate them. It was kind of
scared straight.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, it kind of felt that impression of someone was trying to give us that feeling. And so at the end of the night, we're like, no, we're going home. You got to stay here. That's it. But as we were going home, Tess was like, I don't quite feel right. And we got home. It's late. And when you're not feeling 100%, one of the things that people sometimes do is you go and you have a shower and you cleanse and you leave it all behind. And so I went for a shower and I got in the shower, and once I got under the water, I could smell this weird floral smell that came from nowhere. And I was like, what is that smell? And I'm literally, because I was sharing the apartment with Tess, I'm like opening all her shampoo bottles and all this, trying to work out what is that smells of hers. And I couldn't work out the smell, and I got out the shower and eventually it stopped. Oh, that's weird. And then Tess went to go have her shower and she came out and she said, it's the weirdest thing. There's the strongest floral smell that started when I started my shower. And we're going, is it the water? Is it the drains? We're outside after 2 a.m.
Outside my window.
Yeah, trying to sniff the garden to see if we could work out where these flowers came from. And then sort of later it twigged that we had heard from the Hukamellish hunters that often at the jail, sometimes people would have these really strong smells of flowers that would just suddenly appear. And so we thought, okay, something potentially had followed us at that point, even though we tried to say no. And obviously, yeah. And then, yeah, that evening Tess had an experience as well, where someone came and sat on her bed, and she felt the bed go down and all this sort of thing, and she was so tired she told them to get stuffed, go away, rather than actually see what it was. She's like, tired, go away.
I agree with Tess.
What we all pretty much would do.
As you do.
As you do. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there was a time as well when I thought perhaps Patty had followed me home from the lake house once, because my daughter started telling me that there was a ghost in her room. And I'm like, no, there's not, sort of thing. And there were things were, the stereotypical things, the toys started playing that had never played in years because the batteries were flat, and things would fall over, and I kept saying, no, that's gravity, no, that's the cat, no, that's such and such. But in my head I'm going, So when nobody was home, I just sort of went to my daughter's room and said, look, you're scaring my daughter, you can't be here. If you need to, you can talk to me in my room, whatever, but you actually need to go home. And after that, it was okay. So I don't know, call that naivety or whatever, but yeah, I don't know if it was. Patty, no idea. But it's interesting, all the same. Yeah. What else have we got on here? Oh, you've got a question. What is the funniest thing you've experienced during an investigation?
Very early on, when I joined the team, Mark and I went to a private investigation. It was out at what would you call it? An old stable, horse barn. Yeah, it was a house.
Farmhouse.
Yeah, farmhouse.
Lifestyle.
And there were some minor renovations, but it was like an original old building. And cut to the chase, Mark and I were exploring the outside of the building. I think there was allegedly some old brickwork, and wasn't there some maybe some graves or something like that outside that we were looking at.
Yeah.
And we happened to walk past a window, and we thought, hold on a minute, there's something moving. And it was actually the bathroom. I think it was part of the renovation of the building. Mark and I are poking our head through the window, shining our torches. And we're like, can you see it? Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. Something's moving in there. And as we actually got enough illumination through this window, it turns out that it was actually the resident of the house, and he was sitting on the toilet in the dark doing a number two. He didn't say anything, maybe just a wave or something like that. And we
He was very polite. Yeah.
Definitely a funny situation. Other than being in each other's company, that's probably one of the funniest things I've had on an investigation.
Yeah. We have some funny moments on most investigations, really, don't we? And to the point we're starting to build up a bit of a blooper reel. Bit of a blooper reel of all the crazy times that we have. All good fun.
And I mean, and we can laugh about being rescued at Whatapu as well now. It wasn't funny at the time. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was kind of funny at the time, but you know, there was a little bit of. I was
crying on the inside a little bit.
Well, my legs were crying on the inside from walking for 7 hours, and also getting a reed up my nose and having a blood nose. But you know, we turned out okay.
Yeah. Thanks to the New Zealand Police Force.
Yeah.
That ties into Bex's question. Have you ever been to a location where you feel too uncomfortable to want to go back?
I'd still definitely go back to Whatapu. Not into the swamplands or up the side of a cliff. Seemed like a good idea at the time, but you know, legs do get
a little bit more thought. Yeah.
Or maybe better dressed for the occasion, maybe some swimming togs or some scuba gear.
What about you, Tash?
No, I've had some interesting interactions. Probably one of the ones was at Glenbrook Lookout. And I actually went back a couple of days later to re-record in a spot where I had an interaction that was not very pleasant. The whole area feels quite unpleasant. But when I went back the next day or a couple of days later, it was like, it felt like a completely different place. Like it wasn't so heavy and depressing. And we all were sort of feeling like not very invited, quite sort of angry, I don't know, standoffish sort of, I don't know, feeling of the place. And I don't know if whether it was paranormal or not, but it was interesting. Like I tend to stand my ground. Like if something doesn't want me there and it's paranormal, then I will just stand my ground. Like I'm not disrespectful or anything. I just won't move. It's just like, well, anyone's allowed to be here. It's a public space sort of thing. You know, basically you just have to get used to it.
Because that was the time that you actually went home and there had been sort of a physical response, hadn't there? Sort of like you'd felt like you'd been punched.
Yeah.
And then when you got home, there were bruises.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that happens sometimes, but granted the limited stuff that we have of that place, and we can't really verify it, but it sort of makes sense. What happened there, but yeah.
So to go back, you know, a few days later is pretty brave. Because is
it brave or is it stupid? A little bit of both.
I don't think there's anywhere where I've been too uncomfortable to want to go back, but there are places that there's one place which we're going to call the spooky toilet that I am increasingly feeling more spooked by, certainly, but definitely still going to go back, but just sort of depending on the day, depends on how I feel about spooky toilet.
We're welcome anytime we can go.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
we're quite lucky. We do have a few locations that have given us unlimited access, so we can sort of return to them anytime we want and carry on with the research. So it's very handy. It means we can have more relaxed sessions. We can sort of take our time. We can stay the night, and we don't have to rush. We haven't got any sort of time restraints or anything, so we can do the odd live feed or whatever we want to do, and just take our time with it, which is it's a good place to be, actually. Yeah.
And so Steph has asked, what have you found to be the best way to communicate with spirits? Is it using technology or something more spiritual, or I suppose a mix of both?
I say drop the gadgets and just sit and listen. Just turn off all the power, turn off the lights, close your eyes, ask some questions, and just see what you get back. Just observation and just peace and quiet. It's the best way to do it. Don't worry about noisy gadgets and all that kind of rubbish. Just peace and quiet, ask questions, see what you get back. The communication might be verbal, it might be through tapping, it might be through flickering of lights, it might be through some other way. We don't know how they're able to contact us. So you just take it as it is, and whatever comes out, stay with that. That makes sense.
What about you, Sam?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Mark said. If you are going to use a gadget, my favorite is the video camera. You want to capture and record any audio, any sounds that you might hear, but at the same time, you want to see what may have made those noises as well. So always keep those cameras rolling and keep them directed at yourself as well and the room.
We've also found that whatever's in the room with us might be able to communicate via electronic equipment as well. Like, as you say, Sam, with video cameras, we've had sounds and voices that have been imprinted onto the video recordings. We haven't heard them at the time, but they sort of somehow imprint themselves onto audio recorders, video recorders, that kind of thing. So a lot of the communication is stuff that you don't just hear at the time. It happens when you're sort of going through the footage and the audio and just reviewing it, and things pop up then at that point.
I would say video recorder and also a good voice recorder, because this helps debunk things as well as capture things. Like we had that one on the live stream through small, medium, rare, that scream or growl or whatever it was. I think it was a growl. But that was also verified by my camera and a couple of my voice recorders, as well as Amy's camera, and different parts of the building upstairs. So we knew that it wasn't a glitch on, say, Facebook Live, or I think it was TikTok Live, I can't remember. We could verify it with different equipment that does the same thing. And also pinpoint where it was. Yeah, so it was definitely down the hallway where the communication session was going, because my camera was further down near the bathroom. I picked it up down there on my camera, and I think on one of my voice recorders as well, like very clearly.
Yeah, I agree what everyone else has sort of said. I also think that the technology can lead you down the garden path a little bit. Like say you are using something like an Ovilus or whatever, it comes up with a word, you try and make sense of what that word is, and then it's going to direct the next questions that you ask, where you go, what you do, all that sort of thing. And so actually it may not be accurate, and you're actually putting your own interpretation of what that communication is from that point. So you actually kind of closed yourself off to what the other communication going on could be, which could be the taps or the tapping on the walls or whatever else, because you're hoping for that I suppose easy communication from having a spirit box or whatever, where it's going to tell you in words exactly what it's thinking or wanting or doing. You're not actually, like you say, listening to what's going on, your gut feelings and how your body is reacting and all those kind of things. You just get all caught up in that easy answer technology thing as well. And I mean, technology is helpful. Like it's useful having things like the Eddy, where you've got your temperature, because we had that at the lake house, where it was, we've got the Eddy there so you can see the temperature. And we asked if you know, if it could maybe drop the temperature for us. And like, you're sitting there and you're like, oh, yeah, I think the temperature's dropped. But when you actually look, it's not physically dropped next to you. And so you're sort of going, oh, is it in my head that I want it to have dropped or whatever? So it's yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. What else have we got? A question from Bronwyn. Do you ever communicate with family and friends who've passed on? Who wants that one?
I haven't.
No?
No. Well, not in a team situation anyway. But yeah, generally not, no.
Yeah, we've had a few experiences. Like we did an event at Waiuku with dowsing rods, and everyone seemed to have connected to someone related to them closely. Yeah, and even I was apparently talking with my great grandmother or something at the time, but I'm not sure about 100% accuracy of dowsing rods, because it's sort of like the Ouija board. You can have like miniature movements and things, like you can sort of influence it to basically tell you whatever you want within reason. It's very difficult to find out whether it was an actual paranormal experience or it's something that you really, really, really wanted to talk about or communicate with or confirm. And that's the same with like spirit boxes and things. If you go on with an idea, it's, you know, it's going to be my great grandmother and she's going to give me her amazing like scone recipe, then you're definitely going to get that through a spirit box or through dowsing rods or through whatever communication I guess you try to have with the passed on spirit. Yeah.
Not intentionally for me. There was a time we were at Alexandra Readout and we were there with a medium, and I was doing something completely different, and the medium connected with a spirit of a soldier that was there, and we were trying to ask if he could influence the equipment for us, so change the temperature, that kind of thing, which did occur. And we asked if he could actually speak into our audio recorder and leave us a message or try and communicate, give us a sound, give us something. And she said, oh, he can't do it. He can't work out how to do it. He's struggling. But he says there's somebody here. He's got a friend who can help. And, you know, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, it must be another soldier, you know. And then she actually said, oh, it's an old lady. She's here. Oh, she's here for you. And then said it was my nan, which was a bit out of the blue. You know, you don't kind of think, oh, my nan's going to appear in the middle of nowhere in a field with some old New Zealand Wars soldier when my nan lived in England. But so the interesting thing was we tried to see what would happen. We then left the audio recorder. Everybody left the location. We moved far away, all those sorts of things. And when we played the recording back, there was no message from my nan or anything on there. But what there was a whole series of taps, as if, you know, when someone's tapping something to go, why is this not working? How do I get this to work? And you could actually hear the taps on there, which I thought, well, that's interesting. So yeah, I don't know, make of it what you will. Sam wants to know, what would your advice be to anyone starting or wanting to dabble in investigations?
Just start and document. So yeah, have an idea in your head of what you actually want to make from an investigation. See what sort of answers there are to the questions that you want to ask, and just find a location and get out there and do it. Yeah, and document, record, have a video camera, have an audio recorder. Start small. You don't need the gadgets. Just do it.
Also go to ghost tours. If you see anybody doing a ghost tour, just sign up for one of those. Give it a go, just to get a taster of what it might be like. There are a few groups around the country that do the odd paranormal event from time to time. We do about 1 or 2 a year, and they're always a good experience. Just if you want to dip your foot in the water a little bit.
That's how I started. That's how I ended up
Exactly.
here. I went to some events. Yeah.
No regrets?
Long time ago. No regrets. Definitely not. No.
Good answer.
Yeah.
None that you're admitting to on a live.
On a live
not a
Zoom
recorded
chat.
live
Feed.
Zoom chat. No.
I would say
Just
like
remember, we have all the video.
yeah, I would say like if you are going out alone, just make sure you tell someone where you're going. Make sure you bring a decent torch, because obviously you're probably doing it not during the day. You might be doing it at night time. Some places are quite dangerous at night, you know, trip hazards or ending up in the swamp and getting lifted out by air rescue, like some people have had. Just, you know, try and stay as safe. Try and stay as safe as possible. Tell someone where you're going, and also we tend to get we get permission to go to the places we go to, so people know that we're in there, just in case something happens. We don't break into buildings and things, because often they're quite unstable and dangerous, and plus it's breaking and entering, it's not really legal. Yeah, there's no such thing as an open door policy that you hear a lot around urbex exploring and that. So stay safe, have a decent torch, bring your phone, bring a camera, tell someone where you're going, and yeah, just have a go, see how you go.
I guess also it pays to note that it's not like the TV shows. There can be a lot of sitting around in the dark, just listening to silence, and if there are any sorts of activity, you might find it upon reviewing your footage or your audio recordings. So yeah, it's not exactly a lot of action necessarily. So don't expect ghosts to be everywhere, depending on the location that you go to.
I would also say the beginning when you arrive and doing the pre-walk around is so important. You need to be there sort of during normal daytime, take photos of everything, video footage, take recordings of the natural noises that are in the area, etc., because you're going to need that for debunking. It's like, you know, some of those that famous footage where it came out and people were like, oh my gosh, there's 2 little girls at the end of this haunted corridor, and when you actually looked at it, it was 2 fire extinguishers. That, you know, that kind of thing. You need to be able to cross-reference and go, what is that blur over there? Have I caught something? Or, you know, is it a coat over a chair that we didn't notice when we're there? And people will swear black and blue, there was nothing there. But if you've got the photo, then, you know, you can say, actually, it was there. Yeah, and probably the other thing is, yeah, like Sam says, turn off Ghost Adventures, turn off all those things, because it's not like that at all. You are going to be sitting talking to yourself in the dark for hours, and then you're gonna go home and sit in a room by yourself for an equal, maybe double that number of hours, just watching potentially a green colored screen of yourself snoring for 8 hours in the hope that you're going to see something while you were asleep or whatever. So it's
Many times.
Yeah, it's, you got to be prepared for all that boring stuff. It's not all glory and excitement. Yeah, I mean, I know we make it look like it is, but yeah.
We make it look so glamorous, don't we?
No.
Hours of video editing, trust me on that.
Yeah.
And makeup and special effects, right?
Yeah.
And I guess be honest as well. Have a logical outlook to your investigation, and be honest. Could the potential evidence that you think you've captured be something else?
And if nothing happens, then nothing happened.
Yeah,
it's just the way it is. That's the nature of this game, really.
And
You don't get paranormal activity every episode in reality.
one of the easiest things you can do, though, to bring yourself a little bit closer is if you're going to go somewhere on a holiday or a trip, which is what I do, which drives my husband mental, is I instantly go and look in the local area and find the most reputedly haunted place to stay. And then I ring them up and say, right, which is your most haunted room? And I'll kind of try and go for that, just in the hope that you might, catch something. Because you're going to be there anyway, so why not try your luck? What have we got here? Bex wants to know, have any of you had childhood experiences that encourage you to do this line of work or interest?
Yep, I did. My first experience would have been about age 10. I don't know if you've seen the first book that we put out, Bex, but there's a whole story there about the big, huge shadow that I saw as a young kid in this elderly woman's house. Just to shorten the story, basically her husband had died and she was going to live in a village, a rest home. So her house was packed up in boxes. I went round to her house just to say goodbye. She welcomed me in. I went and sat in the bedroom, in their bedroom, on their bed. That was the only piece of furniture left in the room. In the corner, I saw this dark shadow. The curtains were closed. There was a dark shadow in the corner, which sort of caught my eye. The shadow started vibrating and then moving towards me. So I stood up and went to the door to sort of just brace myself in case something was going to come and get me. That's when I noticed that the shadow wasn't actually a shadow on the wall. It was actually about a few centimeters out from the wall. So it was like a column of person-shaped, I guess, shadow that was moving along the wall, but not on the wall towards me. And then it went straight through me or around me. And it was just icy cold. I remember the icy cold feeling as it kind of went around me. And that was my first experience. But it certainly gave me a good adrenaline rush, and it really sort of fueled who I am now, I guess. It was one of those experiences that you think, okay, couldn't explain it, but it was amazing. So I want to experience more of that. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think not so much as a child. A lot of my experiences were possibly as a teen. Most memorable revolving around a letter that I received from my recently deceased grandmother, and it was written in her handwriting, dated after the day that she had died, and it was to celebrate my 21st birthday. Other than that, I've had a few experiences, maybe in around 17, 18 years old, in my bedroom at the family home, and that actually involved a little person or a gremlin type creature. And I still cringe at myself saying that as well, but it was very real for me at the time. And I can guarantee you, if I heard somebody say and use those descriptions, I wouldn't believe them. And I'm not somebody that necessarily puts a lot of value into demonology or anything like that, but what it was, I don't know. And I'd like to find out, but I'm very open to the fact that I could have just been dreaming awake or something like that, but yeah, it was very odd, and it was quite frightening as well at the time. But there have been some other experiences centering around that bedroom as well, with bedroom doors opening and things like that. So yeah, it was weird.
What about you, Tash?
I've had a few weird things happen to me growing up that didn't make sense, but that I couldn't explain because I come from sort of a science and engineering background, so try to figure out how things work and operate. One of the, not the earliest one, but one of the most striking ones was when my grandfather died. He had a brain tumor, and my father got a call and went to the hospital at Middlemore, and we were living on the North Shore, and I heard men's footsteps come up the stairs where my bed was, but there was only my mum and my sister at home, and they were downstairs. So I went downstairs because upstairs it was in the middle of summer and it was boiling hot, but my room was icy cold. It was very weird. So I went downstairs and I explained it. And then we got the phone call that he had passed, like from the hospital, not long after I spoke to them. Like, were you upstairs? What were you doing? There was someone upstairs. There was no one upstairs. Like, it was just myself. But it was very weird. Can't explain it at all. Can't explain it being like freezing cold all of a sudden. And like, it's sort of like today, this week, you know, in Auckland, being like super muggy and hot. And suddenly be like freezing cold. Can't explain that. No, can't explain what happened. Not logically, anyway.
I think I grew up where it was just a known thing in the family, you know, that there are spirits that visit and there are things like that. And I know my mum told me that while she was pregnant with me, my great uncle, the family had a history where pretty much they mostly had boys, and he had said to her, no, you're having a girl. And my mum and dad were absolutely sure it was going to be a boy. And my uncle, that great uncle, passed away before I was born, and they went round to his house to visit his widow and his son, and my dad was laid sort of on the floor in front of the fireplace playing with the son, and my mum was stood behind like a couch which was away from the wall, and she was sort of just stood there leaning over watching them. And she heard the widow walk up behind her, and she felt like she was wearing like a long coat because it was in England, and the coat pressed up against the backs of her legs. And so she turned to say something to her, and there was absolutely no one there. And as she turned, the coat moved back. And that in itself, she was like, that's a bit strange. But so she walked straight into the kitchen, and the widow turned and said, oh, he just came to visit you, didn't he? And yeah, and mum went, okay. And she said, and the widow said, oh, he's telling you it's a girl. And yeah, lo and behold, here I am. So right from that point, you know, my parents have had visitations and bits and pieces. And, you know, I read all those like the Usborne book of myths and legends and all that things. And I grew up, one of my favorite things with my mum was to watch Most Haunted, you know, with the green screen, with Yvette screaming at everything and the big eyeliner. And, you know, that was the thing. I was like, yeah, I would love to be Yvette. That would be amazing. And even now, I've got the night vision camera that makes me green. Every now and then I'm tempted to get that eyeliner out just for some shots. And I've been sharing this with the team that I am super excited. Like, it is like, they say don't meet your idols, but this is going to be amazing, because when I go back to the UK, I am going out on an investigation with Most Haunted and Yvette Fielding. So I'm so excited. So yeah, June cannot get here fast enough for me. It's like, oh, it's going to be good. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. What have we got? Oh, just so you know, Natasha, Avril said hi.
Oh, hi, Avril.
Yeah, Avril from
Norfolk. Well, she's not from Norfolk.
No.
She's from Newcastle.
Possibly.
From memory.
Yeah.
Hi, Avril.
Yeah. So we got a cool question from Bronwyn. Have you seen any ghost animals?
I haven't, but my wife has. We have a house that was owned by a crazy cat lady back in the 80s, and cats are attracted to our house. And from time to time, I don't know whether my wife is just open to that kind of thing, but she does see little short cat-sized shadows walking around the house from time to time. I don't see them, but she sees them quite often. But it was a bit of a cat house, and it was owned by a crazy cat lady that used to feed all the neighbourhood strays, so that all the cats used to come to our house anyway. So it's quite interesting. You guys?
No, not really. I mean, I guess
Just me?
Spirit animals could potentially be quite easy to miss if you're not looking properly.
True. Yeah.
I guess, you know, we've all had I'm assuming pets that have passed away, and I guess it's just that familiarity with them always being around, and I guess you sense that. I mean, take for example, my cat passed away some time ago, and I'd always still see him at the door because that's where he'd always be. Doesn't necessarily mean that it was a ghost, but it's just that I guess muscle memory, even, you know, just expecting him to be there when, you know, he's gone.
I've had a interesting interaction. I had a black cat named Manly Man, and he lived to 17 and a half until he had liver failure and kidney failure. So we had to put him down. So we put him down, and I didn't want to leave him at the vet. So I took him home, and I actually put him in his freezer to get him cremated. So they'll pick it up the next day. So I believe they picked him up, and I was just in the lounge. We had a cat door in the kitchen door. So the lounge is like a big open plan lounge and kitchen. And this black cat came through the door that looked like the splitting image of him. And I was just like, oh shit. Literally whole, you know, and I've never seen this cat before. This cat has never poked his head through the cat door before. It was really, very bizarre. So I don't know if it was a ghost or not. I was on the couch so shocked because I believed that I just, you know, handed over Manly Man's body over to Pets at Rest. And then this black cat comes, you know, pokes his head through the cat door, and I'm like, because he wasn't the traditional black cat. He was a mix of like, he was a black cat mixed with one of the Asian species, Burmese. So he was more chocolate than black, and he had like a very thin face and things like that. And this black cat just poked his head through the cat flap and gave me a bit of a heart attack one morning, and I can't really explain that. And I never saw that cat come back again either. So I don't know where the cat came from, or if it was ghost, or it was very, very odd, bizarre.
So was it 7 years good luck or 7 years bad luck?
I think it was good luck because he managed to move out of Auckland and buy a house. So I think that's a bit of good luck. Yeah. He didn't cross my path, really. I was on the couch and I just heard the cat flap go, and yeah, it was very, very bizarre. Can't explain how that happened.
I haven't really been racking my brain. I haven't really come across any spirit animals like that, but I think my house is such an active menagerie as it is. I don't think I would notice. So we've got 3 dogs and a cat and chickens, and for half of the year we have a goat that lives inside for calf club. So it's pretty crazy with animals. So yeah, you'd be lucky to notice, I think, at my house. But yeah. It's always interesting, though, the stories when you hear about the places like, I mean, I like RAF Scampton, where it's got the story of with the dam busters, and I can't think of his last name, but I think his first name was Guy, one of the pilots, and he had a dog, a black dog with a name starting with N, which we shall not say, and that dog is reported to be seen on site at Scampton, you know, and that's fascinating that he is one of the most famous ghosts in that area is actually the dog. It's not all the soldiers or anybody else, it's the dog that everybody sees, which is awesome. Yeah.
I guess the same can be said for, I think it was Basil at Napier Prison as well, who took on the appearance, the mustache of one of the inmates, allegedly. And I'm sure it's not there anymore, but it allegedly lasted a very long time at the prison.
He passed away a few years back.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes, but as the story goes, appeared after an inmate died. The cat has half a mustache, and so did the inmate. So that's where the story came about.
Yeah.
So there's another question here. Are any of us sensitive?
Mark?
Yeah. Especially when he's hungry.
Sensitive as a brick. That's me. No, I'm not a very sensitive guy. No. Simple answer, no.
I mean, I think we all have our own things, though. You get those gut feelings, or you get those sort of sensations, but not. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm sensitive in a way that I can say, oh, you know, this is what we need to do, or, you know, in the line of being a medium or anything like that. I mean, I do remember very vividly when I went on a public event with Haunted Auckland to the King Seat maximum security facility before it burnt down. We walked up this staircase, and I was there with my uncle. He was there with me, and we looked, and he said, oh, which way are we going to go? Because you could sort of go forward, left, or right. And I sort of looked to the right, and there was like this line of rooms, cells sort of thing. And then I looked to the left, and there was similar that way, and there was a room in front. And I looked back to the right, and I just went, no, not that way. No, we're not going that way. And so we went to the left, we went around, we did all these things, and Mark tried to scare people by getting them to go into the bathroom and sit in the bath and get locked in there in the dark and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's
You never did that, did you?
Oh, I didn't. Someone else did, but like that didn't worry me. But it was that space on the right. I was like, I don't want to go there. And but a bit later on, I'm like, oh no, it feels okay now. I can go there. But actually, a bit later on, I'd taken a photo, and it was in one of those rooms, and I had shown it to Mark, and we went looking, and it was up that corridor, and we were trying to debunk it and all those kind of things. And then there was nothing. There was no feeling. But at that earlier point, I was just like, I just get a feeling that I should not be there. And so I listened to those, but who knows what they are, whether that's being sensitive or just my brain, who knows, you know, imagining things. And Natasha's, yeah, geez.
Not sensitive at all, desensitized. No, I tend to, I annoy Amy by putting my camera in places. I somehow have a gut feeling of putting camera in places and getting stuff I can't explain. And she also found out one of my other talents today is finding dead people in cemeteries. I'm pretty good at finding them.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I think if you're going to find a dead person, that's where you're going to find them.
Yes, but I mean, these things are massive, like hectares of graves, and somehow I can find the graves somehow, even with the names misspelled.
It was quite fluky, really, to see her in, because we went to the cemetery looking for two particular headstones linked to something that we'd been researching, and we knew vaguely what they kind of looked like, what color they were, and what was possibly near them. And yeah, and she's just like, oh, it's going to be over there, and she just starts striding off, and she goes, there it is. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're in like acres of headstones. How did you do that?
I don't know. Can I just say I'd never been to that cemetery before? And yeah, so if you're trying to find a dead relative, hit me up. We'll come for a road trip.
Oh dear.
I don't know how to explain it. It's happened quite a few times to be not a coincidence. Yeah.
Got another question here. So what is your most favourite haunted location in New Zealand to investigate? That'd be hard for you, Mark. You've got heaps.
I've got so many favourites. Yeah, I just like King Seat. King Seat's one of my favourites, mainly because there's just so many buildings there. There's so many buildings to choose from, and we're slowly making our way through all the buildings. I mean, I can't remember how many buildings are on site there, but I think we've done about 20 so far. Well, I've been in quite a few of them, but there's all up, we've been in about 20 of the different villas and buildings. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't really experienced too much myself in most of the places I've been in, but I just like to go where the stories are. You know, it's more about the stories for me. It's hearing the stories and then going to those locations. It's the same with overseas travel. you go into those locations, and whether anything happens or not, it doesn't really matter to me. If it does, that's a bonus, but I'm just going to where the stories come from, really. So they're all good. They're all good in their own way, and they all have their pluses and minuses.
Yeah, as long as it's old and historical, I think it's a favorite. I mean, if the story's good, I mean, there's so many to choose from here. But the history isn't necessarily old, for those that you don't know. But it's yeah, we follow the stories, look at the locations, and go from there.
We're quite lucky. We're actually quite lucky. New Zealand has such a huge, rich history, and we're always uncovering new haunted locations or haunted stories from locations that we haven't even heard of before, just through traveling through little towns and speaking to the people in those towns. You get to learn so much about the history of that town. And a lot of these buildings and locations just don't get documented. They're not out there in any books or any websites. So there's a lot of stories out there waiting to be told that are just waiting for us to come along and ask the questions, I guess.
What do you reckon, Tash?
No, I sort of like Massey Homestead because that was pretty consistent and weird things happening. But we do have a lot of really cool places, and also around the stories, we do document quite a lot of history, which is also a cool side of what we do. Even though we have a very short history in New Zealand, we're not very good at, recording it and preserving it. So it's been quite a privilege to be in these places and being trusted to go in. So yeah, Massey Homestead is quite a nice one. Springs to mind. I also like Kingset as well. It's an interesting place with not great things happening there, but the intention was to make people better, even if it wasn't done in the right way. But there's lots of different buildings, and it's just a shame that it's going to get all pulled down soon and no one will have access to document. I mean, it's almost impossible to find a map online of what all the buildings are. That's how undocumented Kingset is.
A lot of the files were destroyed about 20 years ago. There was a fire and a lot of files and documents, mostly patient files as well, also went missing as well. They were destroyed or went missing. So yeah, it's possibly a bit of corruption going on there behind the scenes, and suppression of names and details.
I think one of my favorite places has probably been just a little museum in Waiuku, and that's more for personal reasons, because I actually, before I joined Haunted Auckland, I was a volunteer there as well previously, and so now going back and seeing it in a completely different light, in the evenings, doing some public events there, all that kind of stuff as well. It's been really fascinating to have that link before and after.
It's an amazing museum too.
Oh,
it's incredible.
That's awesome. That's awesome museum. Well worth going to.
One of the better ones out there, that's for sure.
Yeah. Sort of tied to that, at the other end of the scale, Cal's asked, what worldwide location would you want to investigate? So I was saying today to Natasha, I'd really love to go to Shepton Mallet in the UK. Like, you hear all these things and all this stuff, so I'd really love to go there. But the other place, which was sort of on my bucket list, which is going to come true, is we're hoping to go to Arrowdale this year, and that was just so excited. Because I have a friend, and she jokes with me that I have a uncanny ability to relate to places of misery, whether they be prisons or mental asylums. So we were in Tauranga and we were walking through this area and I'm like, this is really lovely. I could live here. And she goes, of course you could. This used to be where they had a mental asylum. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm sort of drawn to those kind of places. So I'm really interested to go to Arrendelle, definitely.
That's not weird at all.
No.
Almost as normal as my grave spotting. I should turn it into a sport.
Yeah. What about you, Mark? You've probably done all the places you want to go to.
I'm slowly making my way through a big list that I have. But as I tick off locations from that list, I'm finding new locations as well. So, I mean, my heart is in the UK. That's where I belong. That's where my bloodline is. You know, it's you know, I think we're going to keep going back to the UK. I just can't stay away from the place, especially Scotland. And the place is just so big with just so much history and so many locations. It's mind blowing. Yeah, I'm just slowly making my way through them, and I've stayed at most of the most iconic, I guess, haunted locations in the UK, and now I'm sort of making my way through all the smaller, localized ones. But it's just, yeah, UK is where my heart is, I guess.
I'm on a bit of a Japan kick at the moment, wanting to take in some of their culture and some of their stories as well. And there's a few locations there that I'd love to go and visit, namely a forest there. I won't say the name for trigger reasons. And yeah, Howling Village, even though I know that now that is an urban legend and it was a bit of a hoax, but still go there and to the tunnels and have a look and just document it as well.
Yes.
I'm just taking like a real interest in their way of spirituality and things like that as well at the moment.
The Japanese ghost culture, I mean, it's incredible. It's in art, it's in literature, it's everywhere. I mean, they're very big on their ghosts and hauntings. Yeah, it's amazing. I've never been there, but yeah, it's on the bucket list. Yeah, one day.
I'm a little bit different, as per usual. Quite a few places in America, like New Orleans and Penhurst, and even going around Salem, all the different spots where the witch trials were, and a random island in Italy called Pavalia. Yeah, if you can get access to it.
Yeah, see, misery straight away. I'm like, yeah,
let's go to Abandoned Island.
Walking on the dust of the dead plague people, like yes. It's terrible.
And then to do the catacombs underneath France as well, underneath Paris, that would be quite an adventure, I think. I've been down underneath Notre Dame, but I haven't actually been into the catacombs. Yeah, probably spent hours being lost there, running around, looking at all the skulls and bones and stuff under there. I think those places would be quite cool, just purely history alone, even if there's nothing paranormal happening there. It's always, you know, it's like fishing. You don't always catch a fish. It's more the adventure and excitement of, you know, doing the act.
So Bex had said the only ghost tour that she's been on is one in the catacombs under the Royal Mile in Edinburgh. Right. And have any of us been, and what did we think? That sort of thing. So I've been to Mary King's Close, I think it was called, but not to the catacombs and stuff like that. I did stay on the Royal Mile, did an Airbnb. It was brilliant. You opened up the curtains and it had all those monuments up on the hill, and it was right next to one of the churches where it had a famous statue. And I should remember it. I can't remember now. But Edinburgh itself is just amazing. Full stop. It's an amazing city.
I did the Nidri Vaults, I think it's called Nidri Vaults, and there was some tour company called Dead After Dawn or something like that, or Dead After Dark or something like that. I did their tour. It was about a 2-hour tour. I don't know. It's great to get into those locations, though. I mean, even if it is a little bit set up, you know, and it's done in a tour situation. I'd rather be investigating those places, but you got to take what you can get. A lot of these places, they only do tours, and that's all they do. They don't allow investigations. So,
well, that was the thing.
yeah,
I went
where you can get them.
Yeah, I went and we did a tour, and we went through the famous cemetery with the poltergeist guy, and I can't remember the name of it now. It's got little Greyfriars Bobby outside, and all that sort of thing.
The Mackenzie poltergeist.
Yeah,
Greyfriars.
Yeah,
Greyfriars.
but no, yeah, Greyfriars. So we were there, but no, I didn't do a ghost tour. We did the Harry Potter J.K. Rowling tour with my daughter, and we had sorting hats and fake wands made out of chocolate. It was the best tour I've ever been on. It was amazing. But yeah, I just think back now and I think, oh, you idiot, what a missed opportunity. But yeah.
All the bodies buried under the ground. There are thousands of bodies buried right under your feet. And they're not graved or anything. There's no headstones. They're just buried there. Upright, apparently, too. Standing upright, I think they were. Thousands of them.
So what house are you in, Amy?
Well, I hate to say it, but I think I'm a Hufflepuff. My daughter's a Ravenclaw, very much so. Yes. Yeah. She's shouting at me, I can hear you.
You're talking about Harry Potter now.
Stop it. Yeah. Oh. So what else have we got in here? We've got Ron wants to know, have we been to Porirua Mental Hospital Museum? I haven't, but it sounds like I should have.
No, I haven't been there. Porirua, no.
No. It's hard to get access to these places because they're quite sensitive about patient confidentiality. Even if it's closed down, all the records are gone, they're very reluctant to let people in. Like King Seat, like Alice. What's the other one down there?
Seacliff?
Hamilton?
Oh.
There's Tokanui.
Yeah, Tokanui. Yeah, these places are, very difficult to get into.
Kimberley, we went into the Kimberley one. It's remember that one, Sam? Kimberley. Oh no, you didn't go to Kimberley.
No, it's not ringing any bells.
That was no, I did that by myself. That was Kimberley. That was down by Levin, I think.
Right.
What was the one we went on to on the way home from Ruapehu? That was an asylum, wasn't it?
There was a prison. It was not. There was the old prison that we went there, and the name escapes me, but I think it was called.
Was it Waipui?
Yeah, I think they named it the Pastoral Prison or something like that.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, very interesting old abandoned prison there.
Didn't you guys go, or Mark's been to? Is it Seaview? Is it down in Is it down in Dunedin or
Hokitika? Yeah, that's an interesting place. It's all derelict and falling to bits, but it's a large place with lots of buildings. Great for photography. It's awesome to just walk around and just photograph it. But we should get back down there, I reckon, this year. We've got access to the places, and we've got accommodation down there, and we've got friends down there, so it's an easy trip if we can, afford the flight. We can do it.
Now, earlier in the night, Sam had suggested that we should try and do, what is it, 2 truths and a lie about our experiences investigating and stuff. But I don't know if my brain's fast enough to think of that. And my face, I have a terrible poker face for telling fibs.
How does that work?
Yeah, you're a teacher.
Yeah, but you tell like three facts. So you sort of tell 3 pieces of information, right? 2 of them are the truth, and 1 of them is a complete fabricated lie. And people kind of have to guess which one is the lie. So I guess
I'd have to think about that one.
Yeah, that's it. I'm like, I need to think about that. That's why I've sort of left.
We don't have the time, do we?
I don't know. What are we? Nearly at 9:30. So probably almost out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might have to think about
We'll go for a
that.
little
We
bit.
could actually probably make that into a post, I reckon. That would be quite a cool post for people to try and guess which
Yeah.
one they think is the lie. We
Yeah,
could see
yeah,
if we could
we'll
do
do
that.
that.
Yeah, be quite good.
Put it into video format.
Yeah, we could do that.
Mm.
Yeah. Right, you've inspired us.
Also,
Sam.
we want to hear from a few of our followers. We would like to know a few things though. The website, for example, we have a website which is www.hauntedauckland.com, and it's a huge resource website, but we would like to include our audience into that website as much as we possibly can. Same with our Facebook page and all that sort of thing. So we really want to hear what you guys would like to see on that website. Are there any write-ups or articles you'd like to see about certain locations, about certain investigations that we've done, you know, any sort of further photographs or video footage that you'd like to see? We have many hard drives containing footage and photographs, stuff that isn't even online yet. It's just stuff that we've stored away. So we've got a huge archive of many years, well over a decade of footage and video footage that we're quite happy to put out there if you want to see it. So if there's anything you want to see on the website, if there's anything you want us to say or do on the Facebook page, the YouTube channel's there. If you want to see us, if there's any videos that you want to see on the YouTube channel, perhaps there's a video that you've seen on the YouTube channel that you'd like us to expand on or do a follow-up for or something like that, you know, we can arrange all that. So we'd like to hear what you guys would like to see in what we do. We don't just do this solely for us. We do this to sort of help educate others around us as well. And if people want to come on the journey with us and learn as we learn, then fantastic. So anything we can do to help you guys learn and be more of a part of this, let's do this. So yeah,
Ooh.
Throw some suggestions our way.
Lana's just suggested having a map of New Zealand and linking the investigation info to like a pin on the map. So
Okay.
it's
We've kind of done that on the website. We kind of had, but we haven't been updating it. So there is actually a map page there with lots of links on it. But it needs to be updated, yeah, for sure. But if you want to know the locations that we've been to, you go to the website and you go to the front page and just scroll down. There's a whole list of all the investigation locations that we've done all throughout New Zealand, as well as Australia, the States, the UK, Norfolk Islands, and then now I've put that in there. So all the locations that we've been to or investigated or stayed at overnight or whatever are all listed there. So that'll give you an idea of some of the locations we've been to if you're looking for ideas in your own travels.
And I mean, if you hear of places that you think we should be checking out, send us a private message and let us know, because it may be something that's completely not appeared on our radar. That, you know, being a local to a place, you may hear some really interesting stories that us up here where we are, we may not hear. So definitely send us some private messages, share this stuff.
Especially if you know a contact as well, somebody that might be able to allow us access, somebody that we can talk to that can tell us the stories as well.
Yeah.
Great.
Excellent.
Well, that might be us for the night, is it, guys?
I think so. It's been a good one. I've enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you everybody for watching.
And all the questions. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so put some comments. We'll put this online if you missed any of it. We'll put this on our Facebook page and we'll touch it up a little bit and stick it on the YouTube channel as well. So we'd like to see a few comments and questions. If you have anything else you want to ask us, we'll do our best to answer them. We won't have all the answers, of course, but we'll do our best to answer whatever questions you do have. So throw them our way. We can try. And yeah, let's find the answers together.
Well, good.
All right.
That must be us. Then
Good night.
I guess it's a good night from Sam.
Ka kite.
Good night from me.
Good night.
Thanks, guys. See you online. Bye.
See you.